Module 12, Lesson 2 is over the converse of the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so here's the converse of the Pythagorean theorem. It states that if a squared plus b squared equals c squared, then the triangle is a right triangle. A and b must be the shorter sides and c is the longest side. So we're going to go through these examples. We're going to tell whether each triangle with the given sides is a right triangle. So again, we're just going to take a squared plus b squared equals our c squared. And they're in order. This is our longest. So 14 squared plus 23 squared, does that equal 25 squared? If it does, it's a right triangle. If it does not, it's not. So use your calculators, have them out. So 14 squared, if you don't, pause the computer so you can get them out. 14 squared is 196 plus 23 squared is 529 equals 25 squared, which is 625. Now you add these together. 196 plus 529 is 725, so it does not equal 625. So this one is not a right triangle. Okay, the next one, again, we're going to use Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and they're in the correct order. The longest leg is last. So 16 squared plus 30 squared equals c squared. Or, sorry, gotta fill in what it is. 34. 34 squared. Okay, so start squaring them. 16 squared is 256. 30 you should be able to do in your head, which is 900. 3 times 3 is 9 with your zeros. Equals 34 squared, which is 1,156. Add them together, you get 1,156 equals 1,156. So this one is a right triangle. Okay, the next one, again, we're lucky they're in order. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Fill them in. 27 squared plus 36 squared equals 45 squared. Use your calculator. 27 squared is 729 plus 36 squared is 1,296, and then 45 squared equals 20,025 or 2,025. Add them together. 729 plus 1,296. Make sure you're double checking your work with a calculator. Don't mess up. 2,025 does equal 2,025. So it is a right triangle. The last one, again, we're lucky it's in the right order. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. 11 squared plus 18 squared equals 21 squared. Start squaring them. 11 times 11 is 121 plus 18 times 18 is 324 equal to 21 times 21, which is 441. Add these together. 121 plus 324 is 445. So that does not equal 441. It was pretty close. So we would put not a right triangle. And again, you can pause these notes if I'm going too quickly for you. Make sure you're checking your work and you know what you're doing in your calculator. Guided practice is going to be on page 384, so go ahead and open your workbooks. Again, make sure you're on page 384. That's where we're going to start our guided practice. 384. LaShondra uses grid paper to construct triangles shown. What are the lengths of the side of LaShonda's triangle? So let's go ahead and count on the graph paper here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the last one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're going to use Pythagorean. We're going to use the converse of the Pythagorean theorem to determine whether the triangle is a right triangle. So we could put in 6 or 8, it doesn't matter. I usually go the shortest as A. 6 squared plus 8 squared should equal 10 squared if it's a right triangle. 6 squared is 36. 8 squared is 8 times 8, or 64. And then 10 squared is 100. Then we add these together. 36 plus 64 is 100. And yes, that does equal 100. So we know that it is a right triangle. On the next one, the triangle has side lengths 9, 12, and 16. Tell whether the triangle is a right triangle. So we're going to let A be 9, B will be 12, and C will be 16. So we have 9 squared, right? Because we're using Pythagorean theorem here. Plus 12 squared is going to equal your 16 squared. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So if I square 9, I get 81. 9 times 9 is 81. 12 times 12, if you know it, great. If not, use a calculator. 144. And then 16 squared, which is 256. Good. So add these together. 81 plus 144 gives you 225. That does not equal 256. By the converse of the Pythagorean theorem, the triangle is not a right triangle. Question 3 says, the marketing team at a new electronics company is designing a logo that contains a circle and a triangle. On one design, the triangle side lengths are 2.5, 6, and 6.5 inches. Is the triangle a right triangle, and explain? So we're going to have to use A squared plus B squared equals C squared to figure that out. So 2.5 squared plus 6 squared equals 6.5 squared. So I'd use your calculator. 2.5 squared is going to be 6.25 plus, you should know 6 squared, right? 36 equals 6.5 squared, which is 42.25. So let's add those together. 6.25 plus your 36, right, gives you 42.25. So yes, that would be a right triangle. Okay. And then if we explain, this is what we're going to say is our explanation. 2.5 squared plus 6 squared equals 6.5 squared, because 42.25 equals 42.25. So it is a right triangle. And our last question, how can you use the converse of the Pythagorean theorem to tell if a triangle is a right triangle? So what we're going to do is we're going to see if it fits into our Pythagorean theorem. So we're going to see if A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Okay, we will use A and B as the shorter sides. And C as the longest side. Okay, if it is true, then it is a right triangle. If it's not true, we know it's not a right triangle.